Hello everyone, it's Money Africa here. If you're watching us for the very first time, my name is Oluwa Tosin from Money Africa. Money Africa is a financial literacy platform. We teach you all you need to know about your money and how it affects your pocket. So we're talking about something very interesting today. Can you guess? Money, 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 money. It's raining money. It's earning season. Earning season basically means a period when companies get to tell us about their result. How did they perform the last quarter? And that's what we're reviewing today. So Q2, usually 3 months in a financial year, basically talking about how the company performed in that quarter. So we have numbers, we have companies, we have things to talk about. And guess who our first company is? Our very first company for today is, guess who? Let me give you a quick nudge. They have this wearable. This wearable of theirs is so big. It's bigger than Zoom. It's bigger than the entire McDonald's in terms of annual revenue in 2020. Guess what company this is? You guessed right. This is the AirPods by Apple. Apple is such a profitable company that just its AirPods outperform entire companies. That's how good that company is. So we saw a 36% growth in revenue in just Q2 for 2021. This is really impressive. Now, something else is here. In terms of innovative products, Apple is right there. And not just that, also its user growth. Did you know that 75% of its Apple Watch wearers are actually new customers? So they're actually gaining more and more customers. And this is really impressive. Just being able to grow your user base. Also, it is the leaders in smartphones and wearables. It's right there on top of the chart. It's the most profitable company in the world. In 3 months and the quarter Q2 2021, Apple delivered, guess how much? $23 billion in 3 months. Tell me which other company beats Apple. So do you have that stock? Now it gets really interesting. Year to date, Apple delivered 10.66%. So in less than 7 months, about 10.66%. So if you had invested like ₦1 million or like $1,000, you'll be getting approximately 100,600 naira or about $100.60. Not bad at all. Quite impressive. We'll be going to the next company now. The second company we're talking about now is JP Morgan. JP Morgan is in the financial services space. Now, interesting numbers. Its earnings per share at $3.18. Now, compared to last year with $1.78, this is actually quite good. Also, it's in a 154% year-on-year increase in profit. What really gets interesting is that, we've been in the middle of COVID and you still see these companies deliver quite strong numbers, which is an extremely interesting situation. Another thing that is going well for JP Morgan is that it is well positioned amidst economic recovery. Also, we are seeing rising M&A activity. So now you're asking, Tosin, what is M&A activity? It actually means mergers and acquisition. This is when a company acquires another company or they join together. So they're leveraging on each other's strengths. They're able to expand, get into new markets amongst others. And that's what we're seeing JP Morgan do. Also, JP Morgan is one of the strongest banks in the US, and when it comes to total assets, it leads the chart. So if you're looking at the balance sheet and you're looking at assets, JP Morgan comes first. In terms of its results, year to date, it has delivered 20.52%. Let's bring it back home. If you had invested ₦1 million, that's what, about 200,000 naira in terms of profit. Not bad, considering this is less than 7 months. What do you think? Would you have invested in JP Morgan or not? So now let's go to the third company. Who do you think that will be? I'd like to know. Number 3 company is Square. Square is a fintech company. Fintech means financial technology. Interesting number here. Again, we're seeing a similar pattern for financial services company. We're seeing that it grew by 94.6% in terms of its net profit. Very interesting number. It's also a recent acquisition of Afterpay. So have you heard about Afterpay? It's an app that sort of lets you know buy now, pay later. They're probably getting more into the credit space and just basically trying to expand, cross-border expansion, getting into new countries, getting into new market. We'll see how that acquisition plays out in the future. In terms of industry position, Square is actually the leading digital payment company with its Cash App. You must have heard the song. Shoni CC, low down, Cash App, Cash out. So yeah, that's Cash App. Everybody's talking about Cash App right there in front of the space with this, digital payment company. And it's quite interesting to just see how this fintech, is growing, expanding, acquiring, trying to get into new market. In terms of its numbers, right? It returned 29.48% year to date. So if you had invested ₦1,000,000, that's almost 300,000 naira profit. And if you had invested $1,000, that's about $300 profit in 7 months. I think that's impressive. I'd like to know, did you invest in this fintech company or not? What are your plans? Would you invest and all of that? What would you like to know more about this company? Let's go on to our fourth company. Who do you think that would be? If you've watched this far and you're enjoying this content, this is a good time for you to what? Subscribe now. We are Nigeria's leading education financial literacy platform. All right. If you said healthcare, then you guessed right, it's Pfizer. So Pfizer's in the healthcare space, and revenue and profit have actually performed in an interesting manner. Now, revenue increased by 92.4% year on year. You're also seeing the Q2 earnings per share grow by 72.6%. Now it gets interesting. What are the growth opportunities here? We're seeing that there's room for expansion into underserved market. I'm thinking Africa, right? You know, the aim of the plan is to vaccinate at least 70% of the entire population globally, and then, you know, on the self market to start saying, you know, how can they get the vaccines, how can they pay for it, how can they, you know, access it. Also, emerging COVID-19 strains, you know, create new growth opportunities in terms of, you know, vaccine sales and expansion. So in terms of performance, how did it perform? It's returned 22.41% year to date. So if you're looking at it from January to now, 22.41%. But if you wanted to compare it to its counterpart, interestingly, Moderna actually delivered about 280% return in terms of its shares. So why is the market responding to these two different products in the same space, in the same sector, with unique similarities? Why they're responding to it different? I'd actually like to know, what do you think? You know, why is the market responding, you know, in terms of the demand for its shares faster than that of Pfizer? I'd like to know. Come into the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. But yes, that is how Pfizer has performed. COVID is the biggest story in the market right now. We're going to the next company. Who do you think that is? Tips. It is blue. It is big. Largest social media network. Yes, you guessed right. It's the famous Facebook. Facebook is the number we're crunching into right now. So now let's look at it. It beat all its metric. It outperformed expectations. We saw 36% growth in sales of hardware. Interesting, right? Who would have thought? In Q2. Also, we're also seeing there was 100% growth in net income. We're seeing that there's also a significant growth in revenue from Facebook ads. It's one of their biggest money maker. More than 90% of its revenue is coming from there. So now you're asking yourself, Tosin, how did I contribute towards Facebook's profit? If you've ever paid for Facebook adverts, you're definitely contributing to this money maker. Also, we're seeing that there's rising number of users. You always think that, oh, there are a whole lot of people on Facebook already, but it's interesting to know that they are still acquiring new users, and also they're expecting increase from advertising revenue. So that is how Facebook has performed in the second quarter of this year. Now, in terms of its share price, it has returned 32.8% year to date. So if you had invested $1,000, that would have been $328 profit in about 7 months. This is impressive. Did you invest in Facebook? Do you own it? Is it one of the stocks you have? If not, I'd like to know. And if yes, why did you choose it? Fantastic. So now that brings me to the next company. I wouldn't tease you. I'm just going to go right into it. It is Uber. Uber, the famous Uber. Now, from a net loss of 1.8 billion in the same quarter last year, it posted a 1 billion increase in net income. So you can see that that's progress. You know, there's an increase in it, right? It's progress. It's progress. Also, there are fears of fresh lockdown. If there are fresh lockdown, then it's going to favor Uber Eats. Yeah. So you see that more people staying indoors, still ordering food, you know, and things like that. We see Uber Eats, you know, getting favored. But if the market actually opens fully, it still works in its favor. Then you see people start using the app more, using the product, using its service, amongst others. So Uber is really, really, really interesting in terms of what it plays, you know, how it plays in that space. In terms of market share, it owns the largest market share in ride-hailing industry, and it is the second in the food delivery sector. So it's winning on both levels. First in ride-hailing, second in food delivery. Performance, 15.5% in about 7 months. Quite a decent return if you ask me. And how do you compare? In terms of the benchmark, we're benchmarking to S&P 500 that tracks the largest 500 companies, most capitalized companies in the US, right? That's about 19% looking at the same date. So it performed really close to the benchmark. Did not outperform the market, but was pretty close. And that is it. So we've spoken about 6 different companies, reviewing them, their strength, qualitative factor, quantitative factor. I'd like to know what jumped out at you. What did you learn? Which of those companies do you own? Would you like to invest in them? So now we always get people ask us, Tosin, I want to invest in the stock market. I don't know how. That is why we built Money Africa. So you can go to www.themoneyafrica.com to subscribe to our platform. You would be there with a community of other people like you trying to learn about their money, investing, playing the long-term game. We love speaking to people about their money so they can start investing early and play the long-term game. So guys, this is a good time for you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and do not forget to share this with other people. Let us know how the money is made and how it affects our pocket. It's Oluwatosin from The Money Africa. Thank you.